Sheehan Natural Health Improvement Center, and I'm here today with Dr. Sheehan.
Hello.
And Binky. Binky and I. This is Binky. Binky and I are going to be asking Dr. Sheehan some more questions about his approach to Lyme disease. Now, there's a lot of reasons why we get into seeing people with Lyme disease in this area, and that's because they're everywhere in this area. This is like the Lyme disease epicenter of the United States. So we're going to run into people that have Lyme disease. So for that reason, and also because of Dr. Sheehan's own struggle with Lyme disease, we started working with it in our office. So I'm just going to ask you a few questions about this.
I just want to say, the reason why I think we see so much of it is because of the fact that on top of everything that you just said, what happens is that a lot of people, they kind of know they have it, or they think they have it, and they've gotten tested medically for it. And of course, they get tested, and then what does it say?
You don't have it.
You don't have it. And so then they're told that they don't have it, but they know they have it. They know that something is going on, either Lyme disease or something like it. Because most people, when I ask them, I'll be like, do you think that you have Lyme disease? And most of the time they'll be like, yes, I thought of that, but my doctor says I don't have it. And the reason why is because the tests, they, at best estimates, they're 70% accurate. In other words, they're going to pick up 70% of the cases. At worst case, I mean, like I know with myself, when I was tested, it was what's called an equivocal test. There was one band that was positive. I think the ELISA was positive and Western blot was negative. And it's open to interpretation. And so I showed those test results to two doctors. One said yes, one said no. And so it's like there's a whole lot of confusion because the testing is not good. Even the best of it is not good. Lyme disease and its co-infections specialize in evading our immune system, and so it's not picked up. So they are specialists at that. That's the reason why they can survive on us so well. And two, then it's open to interpretation from the medical doctors. And three, it's also, if you look at it, even the Centers for Disease Control, they're in charge of epidemiology, the study of disease in this country. Mm-hmm. They have different opinions about it than the doctors. And so there's a massive confusion around it. Okay, and that's the reason why most people are symptomatic. They're like, my doctor didn't help, and so what do? They go and seek out a holistic practitioner like us, because I had it, okay, and I've helped a lot of people with it.
Yeah.
Okay, not by treating Lyme disease, but actually getting the person healthy again. And so that's the reason why we see a lot of it.
I see.
Does that make sense? Yeah,
it does. And this really is, it's an emerging problem, right? I mean, even though Lyme disease has been around for 30 years, it's the testing is bad.
Yeah.
The way it presents is all over the map. You have no idea whether that's really what it is or not.
Yeah.
So it's exactly what you said, a massive confusion.
Yeah, there's a lot. Put it this way, it was named 30 years ago, but actually they found Borrelia burgdorferi in mosquitoes encased in amber, and I think the Dominican Republic, that is 13 million years old. So it's not a new disease. It's not a new disease, but because of the fact that what it looks is what we've done. What it looks like is because of the things that we're going to be talking about in a second. It's become more of a problem. I don't even know if it's more virulent. It's just that we're weaker, and it tends to express itself more. But anyway, we went into it. It was also found in the caveman. Let's see the Iceman, who was the Iceman. Yeah, he was a guy who I just make him sound like any guy, but he was a person that was frozen in ice, and he was thawed out, I don't know, 10, 20 years ago, and he was found to be 5,000 years old, and he had Borrelia, so he had Lyme disease too. But he was hiking, or he wasn't hiking, but he was delivering goods through the Indian Alps, okay? The Italian Alps. And so, I mean, he wasn't like disabled or anything like that, and he was just walking along. He was actually killed by something else, but he was in old age, he was in his 40s, and he had Borrelia. He was so well preserved that they could actually tell what he had eaten in his last meal.
That's amazing.
I know.
So there's signs that the Lyme pathogen, the bacteria that causes Lyme, the Borrelia burgdorferi spirochete, that is actually endemic. It's something that's just everywhere.
Yeah.
In all the human population.
Yeah, and then what's happened is it looks like it's the analogy that I use is that, like in our city, Lancaster, okay, most people are pretty good citizens. You know, we pretty much law-abiding citizens or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but we got a few bad eggs. You know, people like to break the law and stuff like that.
They're everywhere.
And in other cities, they totally take over. Okay, if their defenses are off.
Oh.
Okay, whereas in our city, it's not as much like that. Okay, we have a number of things that defend against that. Okay, it's kind of like that with Borrelia. Okay, there's always going to be bad eggs. Okay, and Borrelia is more of a bad egg. It's not the worst egg. There's lots more virulent things
It's
there.
not the worst egg.
Okay, and so what's happened is we're just seeing it go out of control, and then we're saying that's it, and we've got to eradicate it, and it's more of a symptom that we're actually out of health. That's basically it.
That just makes so much sense.
It makes a lot more sense.
So, looking at it from that perspective, then, what is your approach to Lyme?
Okay, so our approach to Lyme is that I listen to a person when they come in. Okay, first of all, I listen to them. They have telltale signs. I would say the biggest thing is that they'll say, all right, I've got such and such and it's not getting better, and I've seen all these doctors. And usually they're going to start talking about joint pain. They're going to talk about cognitive function, in other words, brain function.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to talk about digestive issues, and they're going to talk about sometimes they'll know that there's something off in their lab tests. Their white blood cells are off or something like that. But they'll have passed the Lyme test. In other words, they don't have it.
Right.
Or I'll say the other thing is they may have hormonal problems. There's a number of different things that you'll see, but the person will always say the same thing. It just the other thing is usually the person, not usually, but one of the other things that you'll see a lot of is heart symptoms. Like they'll have like one of the things I had was a skipping heart. Sometimes it'll skip.
Yeah.
Or I have a patient that he has a racing heart after he exercises and it won't calm down. And we found that was associated with a weakness in his immune system associated with Lyme's. So you'll see things like that. So the first thing we do is listen to a patient, and then we have a way of testing called nutrition response testing that actually can see stress in the immune system, okay? And it has certain patterns that show, okay, well, this person's weakened towards bacteria, and you kind of put two and two together, okay? And then what I do is I look towards a person and say, well, how can we get this person back to health, okay? So we start with blood sugar balancing, okay? Blood sugar balancing, 50% of the population now has problems with blood sugar issues.
50%?
50%. 50%. 10% of the population actually has overt type 2 diabetes, 1% has type 1 diabetes. 30% of the population is type 2 diabetic, or they're what's called syndrome X. In other words, they're emerging, they're pre-diabetes, and a lot of them don't know it. 10% know it, another 20% of the population don't know it, and they're going to develop it. And then there's another 20% that actually have blood sugar issues starting. And so we handle that first. And the reason why we handle that with diet, okay, we handle that with a low antigen, blood sugar stabilizing diet.
What does that mean, low antigen?
Low antigen, basically your immune system, 70% of it is in your digestive tract, okay? There are certain foods that are very difficult for us to digest and seem to put a lot of stress on our immune system. They tend to be grains, pasteurized dairy, actually I should say grains, sugar, and pasteurized dairy. Kind of in that order, although arguably sugar could be first. Okay, but we take those out first. Okay? Mm-hmm. Besides handling the antigens, in other words, your immune system won't be so distracted by them, won't be overworked by them, it'll also help to balance your blood sugar. Okay? So that's how we start off with our diet.
I see.
Okay? The next thing that we look at is what we do is we check and see how the person's immune system is working. Okay? Because a lot of times you're going to see evidence of infection in there, and then we support it if needed. Okay, like with me, I had multiple infections. I look back and I always had them. So I had multiple bacterial infections. Okay, you'll see a lot in people. They'll say, I had this, and then I had this, and then I had this, and then I had this. And with the nutrition response testing, we can also tell that the immune system is stressed out and what it's going to need to get it healthy again. Then what we do is actually we check and see for the detoxification pathways, okay? Because a lot of times what's happening is your body is fighting this thing off, but it can't get rid of the toxic byproducts called, there's different names for them. You can call them virulence factors, you can call them, what's the other name for them?
Oh, in the early 20th century naturopathic book I'm reading now, they call it morbid soil.
Morbid soil. Yeah, in other words, you're trying to get rid of the stuff. As you kill something off, you're trying to get rid of the waste product, the toxins and stuff like that. And that's primarily going to be through your liver, your gallbladder, your colon, your lungs, your skin, and your kidneys. And a lot of times the person will have stress there, and you'll need to increase detoxification, okay? Coincidentally, or not coincidentally, when you handle the diet, usually that takes pressure off all those systems, and so they work a lot better, so you don't need as much. Like, I'll give you an example. I had a person come in 2 weeks ago, and she couldn't start our program, and she said, what can I do right now? And I said, stop eating sugar. She came in the other day, and she was completely different, and she was like 50% better already. Wow. So it'll take pressure off all those systems. Wow. Okay, so you've got blood sugar and low antigen diet, and then you've got basically trying to kill off the bugs, okay? Third, get rid of the drainage, so in other words, get rid of the garbage out of your system. Okay, then you start looking at nutritional deficiencies and organ dysfunctions, okay? And we use nutrition response testing and also what are called symptom survey questionnaires to see where the person's stress is. I mean, if they're having trouble getting out of bed, they're low energy, they have to rely on sugar and caffeine, you know, you've got somebody with an adrenal problem. If you have somebody, another person like that with a lot of weight gain all over the body, you're more likely looking at like thyroid. There's certain obvious things that you look at, and then you do nutrition response testing, and it'll help you hone in on exactly what the problem is. So nutritional deficiencies and organ dysfunctions. After that, you're going to be looking at stress, okay? And for stress, you could just ask a person, you know,
are you stressed?
Are you stressed? You know, usually, listen, if you're sick, you're gonna say yes. You're gonna. But you'll get a general, after seeing, I've seen, I don't know, 5,000 new patients, okay, you get a general sense of how big of a problem it is. If you say, are you stressed, and the person starts crying, which sometimes they do, you know that's a big part of it. And you start talking to them about it, okay? First of all, there's certain supplements that you can give a person to help with that. There's other things such as meditation, progressive relaxation, moderate exercise, yoga, all those types of things will help with stress.
That's solving your problems too.
And solving your problems too,
that
like
works.
I said,
confronting your problem and doing something about it tends to help.
That's the biggest thing. Actually, that's why I love
You taught me that.
Yes, I taught her that. That's one for me, right?
Good job.
Oh, sorry, buddy. So one of the things that I tell people is that, or I ask people, I say, is there something that you're doing that you shouldn't be doing? Okay? Is there something that you are not doing that you should be doing? And if they say yes to either one of those questions, that is going to create chronic stress in their system, which is going to deplete their immune system. Okay? Chronic stress and sugar are the biggest depleters of our immune system. If you do not fix your diet and you don't fix chronic stress, you will never get better from a chronic immune system problem, be it Lyme's, be it autoimmune disease, whatever.
Wait a second.
Yes.
Can you say that again? Because I think that's really important.
Okay. So if you do not fix your blood sugar issues and your diet issues, remember low antigen diet? Okay. If you don't fix those and you don't fix the chronic stress, okay, you will never get better from a chronic immune system issue, be it Lyme's, be it autoimmune disease, whatever it is. You have to fix those things.
Wow.
You have to. And actually the reason why I like sitting in meditation is because if you actually sit with yourself and you're just sitting there, those things that are stressing you out will come to your mind, and you will, because a lot of people say, well, I'm not really sure what the stress is. They will come to mind then, and it will become very obvious.
Well, from my experience, they come to mind and then you shove it down. You shove it back down because you don't want to, you don't want to confront that that's actually what the problem is.
Right.
But over time, if you like have firm resolve that you're gonna figure it out,
Yeah.
then that stops happening as much, and then you are able to accept, wow, this actually is the problem.
Yeah.
And that's why it is always coming to my mind as the problem.
Yeah, you can journal it too. I did that before, just write down everything that's stressing you. And you'll find that the same thing, if you do the same exercise every day, you give yourself 5 minutes to do it, and you do that again and again, it will come up, and it'll come up with the same thing. And if you actually just keep on doing that, you'll be like, I could change this, I could change this, I could change this, and most of the stressors will go away. Some problems, you can take care of quickly. Some problems, you have to, they take years to take care of. But as long as you're moving in the right direction, you will take care of them.
Mm-hmm. And that takes the stress off too, because you're at least moving towards the solution.
Yeah. I mean, if you're not working towards a solution, basically you're being a victim. And victim mentality, you also will not get better if you have a victim mentality. You have to say, like we were walking this morning, and I said, you said you can't do such and such a thing. And I said, I think we need to think how we talk about that, because...
Yes, I did say that this morning.
I said, we just need to, one of the ways we deal with stress is we try to walk every morning. And we find that that's both building for our relationship, and also it's, we talk about whatever we want to talk about. And so a lot of things we learn to communicate that way. But I said, you need to rethink about how, instead of saying I can't do something, say, I just need to find a solution to this.
How can I do it?
Yeah, and sometimes how can I find a solution to this? It could take weeks, days, months, years, whatever.
The solution's not immediately obvious all the time.
No, it's not like that. Yes, give it time. Yeah.
I understand. All right, Dr. Sheehan. Oh, you didn't mention yet about sleep.
Sleep. Oh yes, yes. One overlooked thing is sleep. Sleep is very, very important. Now, if you take care of the blood sugar issues, you take care of the bugs in your system, you take care of the toxicities, you take care of the organ dysfunctions and nutritional deficiencies, the stress, you take care of all these things, okay, usually sleep becomes a non-issue. However, if it still is an issue, sometimes the person has just a tendency towards a neurotransmitter deficiency that you can handle with certain amino acids. Sometimes they do need some calming herbs as they go through this. You can handle it with that. There's also brainwave technology right now that you can put headphones on that will actually train your brain for sleep. They'll put you in delta or gamma or theta waves, depending on which one you want to go into. Delta is supposed to be the deepest sleep. When you go into the deepest sleep is actually when you heal, so it's very, very important. Okay, so make sure that if you're going through this that you sleep and you find out, we live close to a highway, and so and what I found helps me sleep the most is putting those blackout things over my eyes. I guess I'm very, very susceptible to light, and so as long as I put them over my eyes, sound doesn't disturb me as much. I also sleep with earplugs in, okay? So it's like, it doesn't bother you, it bothers me. Most people with chronic diseases have heightened stimuli, heightened sense to stimuli. In other words, stimuli bothers them more. And so you're gonna see that sound bothers them more, light bothers them more, and stuff like that. And you do what you can to kind of like ameliorate that so that you can sleep better. But sleep is of profound importance. They found that when you sleep, your body actually works to clean out amyloid deposits that basically it's like a type of scar tissue that is protecting us from the bugs and stuff like that, and it helps to clean them out. Okay, amyloid deposits have to do with Alzheimer's, dementia, as well as some of the other chronic diseases. So it's a big, big problem. So you got to take care of sleep.
Wow, and how about genetics?
Genetics is very important. However, genetics, the reason why I put it last is because, first of all, there's not a whole lot you can do about it in a certain way, but in another way, there's a whole lot you can do about it. So that sounds kind of weird.
It's a paradox.
It's a paradox, yes. No, what it means is that if you handle the other things, it turns on and off certain genes. but you can't change the genes that you have. You can just change how they're expressed. Okay? Diet is the biggest way to affect genetics and how they're expressed. Okay? Everybody has all these genes encoded, okay? And how they're expressed is largely determined by diet, and then what you think, how stressed you are, what you do for exercise. All these things affect genetic expression. Okay, you can have two people, you know, you can have not Siamese twins, you can have identical twins. Okay, and if one has a certain diet and a certain lifestyle, a certain behavior pattern, versus the other one has another one, they'll have they might look the same. You might be able to say, yeah, they're identical twins, but they could look completely different. Not completely different, but you know what I'm saying. In other words, they can have a total different expression. Like, I'll give you an example. In my family, we have a lot of high blood pressure, high cholesterol, high triglycerides, all those types of things. And I never seem to have that problem. And I asked if I was adopted, and I was told no, and I believe them. But it was actually that I eat completely different. I think I'm the only person in my family too that meditates, 3 times a day. I'm the only one that tries to walk every day, tries to exercise every day. I do the things that I see that keep people healthy versus not. So that's just my own experience with it. And I've seen other people with that too, other people in my office, that they might come from a family and they'll say, everybody in my family's got this, but since I've been on your program, this goes away from me. So it's not just genetics, it's how it's
You come from a certain family, but you also may have all of the same bad habits as everyone in your family as well.
Which is usually what it is too. So what's the difference between familiar habits and familiar genetics? Well, I mean, it's up to you to make that distinction, really.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, Dr. Sheehan, well, thank you very much for talking about your approach to Lyme disease today.
You're welcome.
We'll catch you in the next
Video.
Lyme disease video.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for watching our series on Lyme disease. If you have any other additional questions, just leave them in the drop-down box below. We're happy to answer them. If you like our video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and stay tuned for some more videos coming up. Thank you.